Hello everyone, I'm Psychotic, and that's also my screen name. Today we will be exploring the changes to the economy in the Oxbow update for Medieval Dynasty. Now, I previously made two videos regarding the best items to craft to maximize coin per resource for Medieval Dynasty, but with the changes they made in the update to the economy, the values are super outdated. So our goal today is to reevaluate using derivative math to find the best new items to craft for the most value per resource. This video will cover the in-depth breakdown of the actual map, showing my work as it were, while we figure out how to maximize our coin per resource. If you don't care about the math and you only care about the results, an abridged version of the video will be created detailing only the discovered results and not with all of the math involved. So if you don't want to sit through a 2-hour video of watching somebody do math, you have an alternative option to get the values. This is here mainly to show my work so that y'all know I'm not pulling stuff out of my butt. If you learn anything useful today, or if you have a good time, please don't be afraid to drop a like. If you're feeling friendly, maybe go ahead and subscribe. But either way, let's go ahead and launch into it. Okay, so let's start off by describing what I mean by derivative math. So there are some things that we cannot figure out the individual value of specific items because they're in a conglomeration. If we look at, say, the Smithy and a copper hoe, you can't look at one log and 2 copper bar and figure out how much a log is worth and how much a copper bar is worth from this value. It's just not going to work. So what we need to do is we need to isolate the items that we can, and then we will use those. Like there are things you can make a wooden spear that only takes a log. So we'll use the log to figure out what a log is worth, and then we can use that, subtract it from this, and divide it by 2 to figure out how much a copper bar is worth. So that's what we mean by derivative math. So we're going to go ahead and start with some of the items that we can isolate, like sticks up here with wicker baskets. So wicker basket used to be really good. It's looking like it's probably still going to be a little bit better than it should be. But so if we take 3 divided by 5, we get 0.6. So we have a value currently for the early tier. We're going to break this into tiers, because if I tell you that an iron knife is going to be the best use of your sticks, that does you 0 good in the early game. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this out into tiers of early, mid, and late game, and use items appropriate from there. That way we don't get confused like linen. There were 2 different things to make based on mid and late game prior to the patch. So we want to try to separate those out as well so that you guys have a smooth journey through the whole game. So we have a value of 0.6 per stick per wicker basket for wicker baskets. If we look at a wooden ladle, we've got 0.5 divided by 2 is 0.25. That is not 0.6. Here we've got 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. That is not 0.6. So far, small wicker baskets are our best use of sticks. Now, there are some things, and it's really nice that they have added. If you look down at the bottom here, I can't really show you with the mouse because if I move the mouse, it's going to move the cursor. But at the bottom of the screen, they now show you the price on the craft wheel, which is absolutely phenomenal. That's going to make this so much easier to do. And if you'll notice, the simple bags are no longer 8 leather, they're now 1 leather. So we see that 1 leather is worth 12 coins right there. So if we will go ahead and enter that, so early tier leather usage, 12 coins for simple bags. All right. And then we can come back over here and we can go into the sewing hut, because we used to do simple shoes as well. So simple shoes is 100 coins divided by 8, which is 12.5, which means simple shoes are actually better than simple bags once you have the sewing hut. So 12.5 simple bags for sewing hut, which I'm still considering this early game because it's only 1 and you only need 100 XP to get there. But like here, so here we have also just leather. So if we take 160 divided by 12, we get 13.3. So simple shoes are not the best use once you have the sewing hut. Regular shoes are. So this is going to be 13.33 for just shoes, not simple shoes. All right. Fur shoes involve fur. So we need to find everything that's just our leather for this. I think we're pretty much out of the leather woods now. Everything else is going to have something else involved. Well, there's leather in a stick. So if we go off of 0.6 on a stick or small wicker basket, we know that this is worth 60. So we'll take 60 minus 0.6. That leaves us 59.4 divided by 4. Gives us a leather value of 14.85, which means small pouches at 14.85 are actually going to be a better use of leather. Which is phenomenal because originally pouches were absolute shite for leather. Now these are going to involve some linen and some other things, so we're going to have to hold off on those just a little bit. But we will get to those, do not fear. But see, we could not have figured out the value of leather based on this without having first figured out the value of the stick. So that's where that comes in. Now, if we come up here, we've got, so that's a log and that's a log. That's a log because one log makes 2 planks, so that's 1 log. And that is actually times 10. So it would be 3 coins per log? No, it would be, no, it's not. So 1 craft makes 10 vials, but 1 log makes 2 planks. So this is actually times 20. So it's going to be 6 coins per log using this for basic math reasons. So that's 6 coins per log. This is 0.7 per log, definitely not that. That is 0.7 per log, definitely not that. This is 6 per log, and this is 6 per log. So it's even money for buckets and wooden vials as far as logs go. So if we find our logs over here, and we're going to say early tier, and we're going to say 6, and that is for both the bucket and the wooden vial. All right. Now we're cooking with fire. Now, I know we've got some stuff over here. Okay, that's not going to really play much into this. Decorations, we're not going to count. And I do need to throw this disclaimer in here during all the math that we are only after the best coins per resource. If you want something for decoration reasons, build it. It doesn't matter that it's not worth it money-wise. Build it, because it's your village and it's going to make you happy, so just do it. If it's for a tool, then definitely build it, because if you don't build your tools, you're not going to get your resources as fast and you're going to lose out money in the long run. But don't make a tool to sell just because it's convenient if you're losing money and could make more making something else. Now, that being said, the other thing to remember is that whatever you have the resources on hand to build is the best use of those resources. If it doesn't matter that wool is worth more than linen if you don't have any wool. All right, so sitting stumps we can't sell. We can't sell any of this stuff, so that's unimportant. I believe we can sell these. I think they are sellable, I believe. And we can't see the price until we buy it, but that's fine because we've got over 1 million coins on this save. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to go ahead and buy the scheme. Nope, I'm going to say that we can't sell it. It must be a placeable then. All right, that's fine. I should have known that. That was silly. Because we can look at the other things and get a price off of them. So, yeah, I think all of these are going to be deco. So we're not going to worry about this pain so much. Yeah. So we're going to deal mostly with these. So if we look at a torch, it's going to be sticks and leather. So we currently have values in both sticks and leather. So if we take 0.6 times 2 plus 14.85 times 2, we get 30.9, which is more than 28. So we will be better. It will be better to use these resources, creating the small pouches and or the small wicker baskets, than it will be to craft this. This is actually going to lose us money long term. Now this is a log and a stone, so we're going to hold off on that because we haven't done stones yet. We haven't done linen yet. We haven't done feathers yet. Sticks and stones. We can't sell a bird trap. It doesn't matter. Deco. Okay. Barn. Yep, none of that's sellable. So we covered everything here, so let's go to the... we're going to skip over food, too. I don't recommend making food to sell, unless it's something that you can make quickly and easily. Like, the breads sell really well. The problem is they take so many different materials to grow, to create, that you would be better pressed making something else. What I generally do is I do flatbread, not because it's worth the most, it's actually not. The reason that I do flatbread is because it grows in the off season of my flax. So I have all the linen that I need, and then I grow my cabbage in the summer for food for the villagers, and then I grow the rye over fall, winter, and harvest it in spring before we replant the flax, and then it's basically just something to do with the field in the interim. And because flatbread only takes flour, I don't have to worry about juggling a bunch of different crops to make it. So that's ease of access. That is not a min-max thing. If we look at wooden bolts here, we haven't done feathers yet, but we can derive feathers from... We can initialize our feathers by figuring out... So they are now worth 0.9 apiece, it looks like. Or is that for the stack? Alright, we have a single feather on us. It is 0.9. Okay, so feathers are worth 0.9 apiece. So we will start with that. 0.9 raw. Alright, now if we look at our bolts, so we've got 10 sticks and 10 feathers. Now something it doesn't tell you here, and this is tribal knowledge, when you craft bolts, you're going to get 10 bolts per craft. So we're actually only going to figure the value, well, we're going to have to basically multiply the values out. So for our sticks, we are looking at 0.6 times 10 plus 0.9 times 10 gives us 15. So we have 30 divided by 15 gives us 2, which means this is actually a more effective use of our feathers than just selling the feathers flat. So if we take our 0.6 times 10, and then we take, that's 6. So if we take 30 minus 6, we have 24 left. If we divide that by 10, that gives us a value per feather of 2.4 if we use them for wooden bolts. Now the cudgel is a log, and it's a single log, so that gives us a value of 4 per log. But I believe we already established logs as 6. Didn't we? Am I crazy here? Nope, 6. Yep, 6 for a bucket and 6 for vials. So that is definitely not worth it at 1 to 4. Now we can use the stone sickle to figure out our stone value here. So if we take 0.6 times 4, that gives us 2.4. So 5 minus 2.4 gives us 2.6 divided by 4, gives us 0.65 for stones. And that's off of the sickle. And that's probably not going to hold up. So let's see what we can do if we handcraft. So here we've got 5 sticks at 2 stone. Oh. Okay, so 5 sticks and 2 stone for 5. So if we take 0.6 times 5, gives us 3. So we're looking at 2 because 5 minus 3 is 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1 coin apiece for stones, which means our best use of stones is not the sickle. It is actually, so far, the stone knife. And it is a value of 1 per stone. Okay. This here is just a single log, and it's got a price of 3, so we know that's not worth it for money. Simple torch. We can get some straw value off of this. So if we take 0.6 minus 3, that's going to give us 2.4. So if we take 2.4 divided by, how many did it take? 9? 9 divided by 9. That gives us a value of 2.67 on straw. 2.67 for simple torch? Simple torch. Okay. Firewood we can actually sell. It is not going to be worth the effort, though. I can tell you that right now. Because 1 craft is going to give you 20. Oh, 20 fire. 1 craft is going to give you 4 firewood. So, 1 log gives you 4 times 8, which is going to be 32. So 3.2, which is not 6. It is not worth it. Snowballs you can't sell, and you can only get them during winter. So wooden hammer, we're looking at 1 log, so that's 6. And then we're looking at 10 sticks, which is also 6, which gives us 12. At a price of 8, it is not worth it to make the wood hammers. Our stone axe, so we're going to have 6 just off of the sticks, which means the stones are worth nothing. That's not worth the time. Stone pickaxe, we've got 1 log, that's 6. And then 4 stones, so stones are again worth nothing, not worth the time. 2 logs for 6. If we can get 6 per log, that's not worth it. 1 log, whoop, oh no. 1 log and 5 sticks. So we've got 6 for the log, that makes the sticks useless. So it looks like the only thing worth crafting out of this is going to be the simple bags until such a time as you can make the small pouches. So once you have a tailor, you will switch from simple bags to pouches. And stone knives are the only thing that are really worth it from this menu to craft. Last time that I made the videos, I neglected that wheel, so I thought that we would cover that first straight away, just to get it out of the way. And we're skipping food. So we did cudgel, we got to here. So if we look at our copper hammer, so far we've got values on sticks, so we can figure that out. So if we take our 90 minus 0.6, because it's only 1 stick, that's going to give us 89.4 divided by 2, gives us a value of copper of 44.7. 44.7 for copper, and that is on the copper hammer, and we'll see if that holds. Copper axe is going to be 6, so we have 180 minus 6 divided by 4 is 43.5. That is slightly less. Copper hoe is 90 minus 6 divided by 2. Come on, psych, do math right. 90 minus 6 divided by 2 is 42. So that's going to be slightly less than the hammer as well. Copper shovel is going to be, it's probably not going to be good either. 180 divided by 2, nope. 180 minus 12 divided by 4 is 42. That's not worth it either. Copper sickle, ooh, that one might be good. 140 minus 6 divided by 1 is 134. The copper sickle is so far the big winner. So 134 for copper from the sickle. All right, let's see what the knife has. So we got 1 stick and 2. So 90 minus 0.6 gives us 89.4 divided by 2 is 44.7, not even close. Copper arrows. So we have a value on sticks of 0.6. So we're going to take 0.6 times 10 is 6. We know that. And then we have a value on feathers from... Where are the feathers? I should have put these in alphabetical order. Wooden bolts of 2.4. So that's going to be 24. So if we take 6 plus 24, that gives us 30. And we've got 12 times 10 is 120. So 120 minus 30 divided by 2 gives us a value of 45 per copper for copper arrows, which means that copper arrows, while they are worth shooting, they are not actually worth crafting for money. You are better off putting your copper into the copper sickle. Copper bolt is going to be the same thing. They are the same craft with the same value. So that's... except they weigh slightly less than arrows. Alright, how about this guy? So this is our first instance of copper, of linen thread. So we've got 130 minus 6. And we have a current value of 134 for copper from the sickles. So I can tell you just by that we're not going to have any... Did I do that right? That doesn't feel right. No, I screwed up the math. It's not 134 for the sickles. 150 minus 6 is 144. It's not 134, it's 144. Yeah, sickles are king of copper, man. That is brutal. That's not anywhere near... Wow. Somebody dropped the ball for balancing. Alright, I guess just go with it. We're not really going to derive a value of linen thread from this because that's not going to give us any kind of accurate information. Now, something that I did forget to do is there are some recipes in the hunting shack that we can get right away that we won't see in that menu. So we're going to look at the bows. Well, the bows we can unlock, but the stone arrows don't need unlocked. So let's see what they're at. They're at 3 apiece. So we have 6 and we have 24, which is 30. And yeah, stones would be worth nothing. So stone arrows, absolutely useful, not worth selling. Same with the wooden bolts. Oh, the wooden bolts don't have... Okay. So the wooden bolts are actually going to give us a even value versus... Oh, we already knew that because we had to unlock wooden bolts. Okay. Yeah, wooden bolts are going to be better than stone arrows because they don't take stones. And they sell for the same. So wooden bolts are the way to go for your feathers right now. The bows and things we will look at when we get further down the trees, because those are unlockable. But the stone arrows I wanted to check because you have those from the get-go, so they weren't going to get checked if we didn't put them in there. Alright, so let's get back to it. So we've gone through the smithy. It's time for the sewing hut. So our linen thread, by default, is going to be worth 17. Our linen fabric is a 1-to-1, so that makes it worth 28. So our linen is going to start out at a value of 28. And I'm not even going to bother writing down what it's for because that's going to change almost immediately. So for bags, we have 2 leather, which we cited leather in at 14.85 by the small pouch, times 2 is 29.7. So 80 minus 29.7 gives us 50.3. So that gives us a value of 50.3 for our linen. Wow, that is significant. No. Yeah, 80. Okay, yeah, no. I keep getting confused. This is what it's worth. This is what it costs to unlock. So when I go to double check my math, I'm getting confused by those, and that's why I think I did the math wrong, because I'm thinking, well, 53 is higher than 50, so how did we get that value? And that's because we worked off of 80, which is what they sell for. So that's my little excuse for my brain fart there. So let's take our linen is 50.3 off of the bag. We're actually going to record that one. Simple linen shirt. So we know that right now we can get 50.3 off of linen. So and it's a 1-to-1 from thread to fabric. So we can actually make this 3. So if we take 110 divided by 3, I can tell you right now it's not going to be worth it. But that's 36.67. Well, it's 0.6 repeating, but 6.7. Which is significantly less than 50.3, so the simple linen shirt is not worth it. The linen shirt is going to be divided by 5, so we take 190 divided by 5, we get 38, not 50.3. 110 divided by 3 is still not going to be right. I believe that's the same as the other shirt. It is 36.6. Here we go. Here's a change. So this is 130. Nope. Psych. 2 times our leather cost is 14.85. So that's 29.7. So if we take 130 minus 29.7 and then divide that by 3, it is 33.43. That's even worse. Well, here we can get into some pricing for fur, but I want to finish out the linen before we get into the fur. So here we've got 40 a piece, which is less than 50. Here's a good spot for our straw as well. Okay, here's 12 leather. So 160 divided by 12. I think we already checked these, didn't we? That's 13.3, which is not 14.85. So yeah. And then 100 divided by 8 is not great either. That's 12.5. So yeah, that's not going to work. Fur shoes. Now here we can get a value for fur because we know what our value for leather is. So we have 14.85 times 8 gives us 118. So if we take 180 minus 118.8, that gives us 61.2 divided by 10, gives us a value of 6.12 for fur. And that is for the fur shoes. All right, thick leather gloves are 4 leather and 2 linen. So if we take 14.85 times 2 again because it was times 4. So 110 minus 59.4 gives us 50.6 divided by 2 is not going to cut it. It's going to give us 25.3 off of linen for these, so they're not going to be worth it. Now the small pouch is where we derived our leather cost from. So if we take the 0.6 of the stick and subtract it from 60, and then divide that by 4, that gives us the 14.85 for our leather. That's where that came from. Now the leather bag, we can check off of the values that we have now. So we have 14.85 times 4, 59.4, plus 5 times 0.6 gives us 62.4. So 120 minus 62.4. 120 minus 62.4 divided by 2. It's going to give us a linen value of 28.8. So the simple small backpack is not worth it. This is going to lead us into tin, so we're going to skip over that for now, because that's definitely a tier 2 material. Small saddlebag, same thing. The bundles cannot be sold, and the sacks cannot be sold, so those aren't really worth it. Now here's where we start getting into the tier 2 stuff. So here is where everything that we've done up to now is early tier. So we've got our early tier for stones is the stone knife. Our early tier for sticks is the small wicker basket. Our early tier for logs is buckets and wooden vials. They are equivalent. Our early tier for copper is actually going to be mid-tier, because copper is mid-tier. Well, bronze is more mid-tier. Copper bronze-ish. The earliest that you're going to have copper anyway is going to go for copper sickles at a value of 144, which is huge compared to the other values that we've been seeing. Leather, we're going to make simple bags until we get the workshop up, and then we're going to make small pouches. Fur, we are going to make fur shoes. Linen, we're going to make bags. Wool is definitely late game. Straw. I broke straw somehow. I wound up with a value of 2.67 for straw, and I feel like that's not accurate. 3 minus 0.6. 3 minus 0.6 divided by 9 is 0.26 repeating. I had a bad value. I wound up with an extra 2 in there. I must have fat-fingered it when I hit the decimal. Okay. And then feathers, we have 2.4 for wooden bolts. Tin, I'm counting as mid-tier because bronze, and iron is going to be late tier. So we're not going to have any early tier values for those. So now we are going to move on to our mid-tier stuff in our tier 2 buildings. So if we look in our wicker baskets, are 8 divided by, or 5 divided by 8 is not, well, it's 0.625, which is slightly higher. Okay. So 0.625 for medium wicker. Clay, we've got some clay values now. So 2 clay for 2 coins is a 1-to-1. 4 clay for 3 coins is less than 1-to-1. That is 1-to-1. That is less than 1. That is 1-to-1. That is less than 1. That is 1-to-1. We have quite a few options here for clay that are all more or less even, it looks like. So clay vase, clay mug, clay jug, and clay bowl are all good options for using your clay for money. But that gives us a value of clay of 1 coin per clay. So clay is not really a good value to begin with. So 1, and that's going to be bowl, jug, mug, and vase. All right, so let's see what we've got over here now. Right, farming didn't have anything. Do we have anything here? We do have some bows that we can look at. So a long bow is going to be a value of 1 log, which is 6, plus 1 leather, which is 14.85, plus 4 times our current value of linen is 50.3. That's going to give us 222.05, so 500 minus 222.05. That's a 277 coin profit. I feel like they're making us manufacture more fully now. That is going to be worth significantly more than any other use of our logs, our linen, and our leather so far. That absolutely blows them out of the water for the longbow. You know what? We didn't check the regular bow. We need to go check the regular bow because I'm worried that it might be another case of that. Bow. 1 log and 2 linen threads. So if we take 1 log at 6, that leaves us with 64. So 64 divided by 2 gives us 32. So no, the regular bow is not worth it. The long bow is definitely worth it. Once you get down to where you can make the long bow, that is... it blows all 3 of the other resources out of the water. That's going to make the math hard to do on that one, though. I can't give hard numbers on the resources for the mid-tier because of this. Alright, well, if we take our leather and our logs, so that's 6 and... so that's 20.85. 140 minus 20.85 divided by 4. That gives us a value of 29.7 for the linen. Oh, no. Linen is actually better used for the bag. I was completely incorrect. That is why we do the math. That is absolutely why we do the math. So, if you take 140 minus the 20.85 and then divide it by 4 for the linen, you actually get a value of 29.78. And our current value for linen is 50.3. So I don't know what I botched the first time around. So if we take 6 plus 14.85 plus 4 times... I think I forgot to multiply it by 4 is what happened. We take 4 times 50.3. No, it was a case of this again. I tried to take it out of 500, that's why. And it needed to come out of 140. Because if we add everything together, we get 222.05. And 2200 or 222.05 from 500 is impressive, but from 140, it's actually a loss. So disregard everything I said about the longbow. It is not the best to sell. We can't sell any of this other stuff, so we're just going to skip over it. The recurve bow, I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be the same thing, but let's verify. So we've got 6 plus 14.85 times 3. It's 50.55. So 240 minus 50.55 divided by 6 gives us 31.57, which is not 50. So no, none of the bows are actually worth crafting, except to use. I do need to throw that disclaimer in there. They are definitely worth it to use, but they are not worth it as far as selling goes. There are other things that you could get more for your resources from. Alright, now we are approaching definite mid-tier with the bronze. So we're going to look at our bronze hammer. We know that a stick is 0.6. So we're going to say that a bronze bar is worth 190 minus 0.6 is worth 189.4. 189.4 from hammer. Bronze axe, we're going to have 380 minus 6 divided by 2 is 187, which is less than 189. Hammer still wins. Ooh, that's going to be close. Same materials required, but worth slightly more. It's worth 10 coins more. Let's see if that's enough to make the difference. It's 390 minus point... or no, it's minus 6. Are they both logs? Yeah, they're both logs. Okay. 390 minus 6 divided by 2 is 192. How? $380 minus 6 divided by 2 is 187. So apparently that made quite a bit of a difference there. So this one, yeah, 390 minus 6 divided by 2 is 192, which is better than 189. So that wins over the hammer. So bronze pick at 192 even. How's our hoe look? 190 minus 6 is going to give us 184. 192 is better than 194. So, all right, now it was the copper sickle. So let's see if we can beat out that pickaxe with this guy. So we've got 200 minus 6 gives us 194, which is slightly better than the pick. How are the weights on these? The sickle's going to weigh less than the pickaxe. I can tell you that just looking at it. Okay, so yeah, bronze sickle at 194. 194 and sickle. All right, let's check the knife just for completion reasons. Oh my, the knife actually has a comeback maybe? 200 minus 0.6 is 199. The knife made a comeback. Are we sure the copper knife wasn't right? Okay, so 199 for the bronze knife. Oh, it's because it only takes 1 bronze bar, whereas the copper knife took 2 bronze bars, didn't? Or 2 copper bars, didn't it? Yep, that's what did it. That difference right there made all the difference in the world. All right, 390 minus 0.6 minus 6 divided by 2 is 191. We're at 199 on the bronze knife, so that's not worth it. The bronze arrows, I'm almost positive, aren't going to be worth it. So let's take 220 minus 6 minus 24 divided by 1 is 190. So it is 9 less than the bronze knife to make bronze arrows. They are almost there. Bronze bolts, these are going to be identical. Bronze spear. So the bronze arrow is almost there, but the bronze knife is going to be better. All right, looking at the bronze spear, we've got 320 minus 6. We haven't done wool yet, so we can actually take the 199 that we figured out from bronze so far and apply that to get a wool derivative here. So if we take 320 minus 6 minus, what do we have for bronze so far? 199? Oh, I had a backlog in there. 320 minus 6 minus 199 gives us 115. So that gives us a value of our wool of 115. And that is for the bronze spear. All right, bronze shearing scissors. This might actually change that value. I should have finished this out first. My fault. That is 100. So these used to be, well, I guess it was the iron shears that were there. But these are not actually worth it because we can get 199 off the bronze knife. We can only get 100 off of these. So that's the way to do it. What's that 199? It should be 199.4, shouldn't it? 200 minus 0.6. Yeah, 199.4. I don't know why I left the 0.4 off. We've been so accurate up to now. All right. Wooden crossbow is 2 logs and 4 linen thread. So linen thread we established was worth 50.3. Okay, so if we take 130 minus 12 divided by 4, yeah, not anywhere close. All right, so now we're going to look at our wool thread here. So if we look at just the wool fabric, which is going to be worth more, that's 120 for wool. We get 115 off the bronze spear, so it's actually worth more as is. If we look at our simple tunic here, so we are now in the mid-tier crap. Let's do 320 minus 2 leather is going to be, oh, all right, let's do this. 2 times 14.85 is 29.7 plus 3 times 50 point, where'd you go, linen? 3 is 180.6. So 320 minus 180.6 gives us a wool value of 139.4 off of the simple tunic. And I'm pretty sure that's going to get beat out here in just a minute, so I'm not going to write down what just yet. So this here, we've got 3 times 50.4, 50.3, gives us 150.9. So if we take 310 minus 150.9, that gives us a value of 159 for our wool, which is better than 139. 159.4, or zero point 0.1 rather. So that's going to be for the hose. We're actually going to write that one down. Short sleeve tunic. So here we've got 5 linen fabric, so 50.3 times 5 is 251, which is already more than it's worth. We're not even going to bother doing the rest. Ooh, tunic looks nice. 50.3 times 2 plus 14.85 times 2 is 130.3. 510 minus 130.3 divided by 2 gives us 189.8 on wool for the tunic. So 189.85 actually for the tunic. All right, our joined hose. If we do 2 times 50.3, and then so that's going to be 500 minus 100.6 divided by 2 gives us a value of 199.7 joined hose so far. 99.7 for the joined hose. All right, hats used to be the epitome. I'm pretty sure that's no longer the case, but we shall see. So here we've got 290 minus 100.6 gives us a value of 189.4, which means the joined hose are actually worth more, wool-wise. Our cap here, however, might change the value of linen for the mid-tier. So if we take 140 divided by 3, that gives us 46.67. Nope, the cap is no longer worth it. Cap with coif is definitely not worth it. Well, I don't know. That number jumped. Let's see. We got 270 divided by 6. That's going to give us 45. That's not 50.3. All right. So currently we have a value of wool of 199.7 from the joined hose. So let's do 410 divided by 2. Gives us 205. So the hood so far is actually the best use of the wool at 205. All right. Fur hood's going to throw some fur in there. And we did find a fur value of 6.12 if we did fur shoes. Is that right? I feel like that's not right. I am a checker. I apologize, guys. We're going to have to check stuff just so I make sure I don't lie to you. So let's see. We have 180. No. Let's do 8 times 14.85. It's 118. So if we take 180 minus 118.8, gives us 61.2 divided by 10 is 6.12. No, yeah. Yeah, no. Fur has value of 6.12. All right, noted. I am crazy, just not about that. So, and I closed my calculator, because of course I did. All right. So now we have a wool fabric value of 205 times 2, which gives us 410, which means 440 minus 410 is 30 divided by 4, gives us a value of 7.5. So in the mid-tier, your fur is going to be better used for fur hoods. That's going to give us 7.5. So you're going to want to make hoods. You're going to want to make fur hoods until you run out of fur, and then hoods for the rest of your wool. That's going to be how that's going to shake out for monetary reasons. Fur boots, let's see. Oh, this might have just changed again. So 13 times 14.85, 193.05. 310 minus 193.05. It's 116.95 divided by 16 is 7.3, which is less than the fur hood. Not worth it. All right, how about this? We've got 24 times 14.85. It's 356. 370 minus 356.4. 13.6 divided by 2 is 6.8. Nope. Now, our pouches did us really well on our leather in the early game. So let's see. We're going to need to figure tin into this. So if we take bronze, we know what copper's worth, so we can get the value of bronze. So we know that our copper is worth... Well, actually, we can just... Well, Because every tin that we use for this is going to be a bronze that we don't get. But it also takes copper. So let's take our bronze minus our copper, and that will give us our tin value. So we currently have for bronze 199.4 minus our copper, which is 144, giving us a 55.4 for tin. So if we take 150, well, actually, let's write that down, 55.4 for tin. And that's if we're making bronze out of it. So we take 150 minus 6 times 14.85. Gonna give us 60.9. Okay, okay. So 60.9. If used in that, I feel like the bronze is going to be worth more in the long run, though. I think we did that backwards. We should have evaluated our leather worth out of this as opposed to our tin worth out of this. So let's try it that way and see how this shakes out, because we're going to lose way more money splitting the bronze into the copper and the tin than we would be if we, unless the leather's worth more. So we're gonna check it the other way and see if it's still commensurate. So if we take 150, nope, don't start with that, psych. We're gonna take 14.85. No, we're not, because we just figured that. We're gonna take 55.4 out of 150, which gives us 94.6. We're gonna divide that by 6. That's gonna give us 15.7, which is slightly more. So that's going to, our leather would be 15.7 if used in pouches. So that's going to give us a little bump there. So if we use that new number here, we've got 5 times 15.7 plus 5 times 0.6 plus 2 times, what's our fur now? 7.5 plus 3 times, what's our linen is 50.3. That's 247. That is, okay, so the backpack is totally not worth it. It is almost double. Well, it's 100 more. It just off of using these materials elsewhere. Saddlebag, I'm worried is going to be much the same. So let's take 15.7 times 6 plus 55.4 plus 6 times 50.3 is going to give us 451, which is more than 410, so that's also not worth it. Kitchen, right, flatbread for the reasons I described earlier. We'll go over it again just in case. It's not for min-maxing that I make flatbread. It is because the oats, we can turn oats into flour, and oats fill the season that I don't have anything going on in my fields. If you look at these other ones, they might be worth a little bit more, but you need something to make flour and onions, and the onions are going to cut into your flax. And the flax is going to be worth significantly more than the food is. So that's why we set it up the way we did in Season 2, and we'll probably continue to do so, is this is more of a boost of fundage, not so much a min-max. Now for our late tier stuff. Our large wicker basket is going to be 12 divided by 7, which is 1.7. Nope, 7 divided by 12, psych. Come on, man. That's 0.58. That is not 0.6. It's not worth it. 9 divided by, that's probably going to be the same. 9 divided by 16 is 0.56. Yep, not worth it. I believe we can sell these because we can carry them around. Yep, we can sell these. So 13 is actually slightly more for logs. Impressive. We were getting 6 even off of buckets and wooden vials, but so this is 2. So if we take 13 divided by 2, it's actually 6.5. So we're going to skip over mid-tier because we didn't do anything with logs in mid-tier. We're going to do 6.5 if you make wooden wheels. Now, based on the weight of these wooden wheels, I would recommend not making them to sell until you have a market that you can sell them at, because we are looking at fairly late game to get down here. But hauling those to town is going to not be super efficient. Money per material, for what we're trying to figure out, it is the best. But you're going to have a whole hell of a lot of an easier time carrying buckets than you are wooden wheels. Once you have a market, on the other hand, you throw these bad boys in storage and let the villagers sell them, and they're the way to go. All right, so here we are looking at clay again, and that is not a 1-to-1, so that's not worth it. Not a 1-to-1, not worth it. Not a 1-to-1, not worth it unless you're making wine, in which case that will be worth it. Defeathering station is just aesthetic values. I like that they made the villagers actually use the stuff now. That's kind of cool. Ooh, a cart. Oh, it's only aesthetic. Bollocks. All right, now we're into iron. That's going to be fun. Okay. So for our iron knives, we have 250 minus 0.6 divided by 2 gives us 124.7 as a value for our iron. And I know that's not going to be right, so we're just going to keep moving. 250 minus 6 divided by 2 is 122. It's actually worse. 490 minus 12 divided by 4 is 119. Yeesh. Iron Spike Cudgel. That's not going to be good either. 170 minus 6. It's 164. That's actually the best so far. Interesting. 164 even, by the way. No decimal on that guy. Iron Spear. We've got 380 minus 6 minus... What do we have for our wool? 205. Gives us 169 divided by 2 is not anywhere near the ballpark. Iron Crossbow. Not even going to be worth it. If we take 164 times 4, we're already at 650. And then the linen thread's 50 a pop. We're going to shoot right over that 740. We're not even going to bother calculating that. So this will give us 270, which divided by 2 here is going to be roughly 135-ish. And we're already at 164, so we're not going to bother calculating the whole thing. 500. This one might actually be worth it. Let's see, we've got 500 minus 0.6 minus 6 divided by 4. Nope. Swing and a miss. This one's not going to either. 480 minus 6 divided by 4 is 118, which is nowhere near 164. And this is going to be more or less the same thing. That's not going to be enough to boost it. 240. 164 times 2 is more than 240. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Sight can't math in his head. 164 times 2 is actually... Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Never mind. Let's see here. We've got 10 of these. I'm pretty sure these are going to come out the same as the bolts did. Actually, let's check. Are they identical? Yes, they're identical. We're not even going to bother. Now, the sickle did us well in the copper. Let's see how it holds up here. So we've got 370 minus 6 divided by 3 is 121. Yeesh. Horseshoes? Come on, give us some love, guys. 250 divided by 2 isn't anywhere near. Nope. All right. This was the best iron item before the update. That gives us 130. So no, it is not worth it. So this iron spiked cudgel coming in at 164 coins is the best use of iron for money. Noted. All right, so let's check out some of these guys. So we know that we have a value of wool of 205 times 4 is 820. There's no point. That's 3 instead of 4, so that might be there. Let's see, 3 times 205 is 615 plus 2 times 15.7, 646 plus 2 times 50.3 is 747. So yes, quilted vest is worth it. We're going to put that under wool though. So this one's going to be quilted vest, and we're going to take 15.7 times 2 plus 50.3 times 2, 132. 800 minus 132 is 66.8 divided by 3 is 222.67. So that's going to be 222.67 for the quilted vest. All right, hat with lapels. So we are now looking at 222. 67 times 2 is 445. That's not going to be worth it. Times 3, 222.67 times 3 is 668. Not worth it. Times 3 again, 668. Maybe. Plus 2 times 50.3 is 768. It is not worth it. Long hood. We had good luck with the hoods. Let's see how this shakes out. 690 divided by 3 is 230, which is more than the quilted vest. Excellent. So 230 for the long hood. Long fur hood might be worth more. Worked out that way last time. So if we take 740 and figure out... We're actually going to deduct the wool out of this, I think. Minus 3 times 230. So that's going to give us a 50 for fur, if we do it that way. Because we're losing out on the other four. So this will make fur worth it in the late game, if we do the math this direction. And we can still get, for just wool off the long hood, the other value. So I think the fur is actually worth this at this point, because we're using the same amount of wool either way. So we're going to give our long fur hood a value of 50 for our fur. So that's going to be later in the game. At least fur is actually useful now. It used to not be. All right, so here we've got 12 times 15.7 plus 2 times 50.3 plus 2 times 50 is 389, which is way more than 290. Okay, if this one's 389 and this one has slightly more leather to it, it's definitely not going to work. This one's going to be iffy. 24 times 15.7 plus 2 times 50.3 plus 2 times 50 is 577.4, which is not even close. Large pouch. Let's see how this goes. Here we've got 50.3 plus 55.4, which gives us 105.7. So 260 minus 105.7 divided by... Oh, no. 260 minus 105.7 divided by 8 is 19.28 on the pouches, on the large pouch. 19.29 actually. 19.2875, so we'll say 19.29 for the large pouch. And that's going to boost our leather. A large simple backpack is going to fall in line with the other backpacks. That is not going to be anywhere near enough, I don't think. 6 times... Well, let's start out with 3 times 50 is 150. Plus 4 times... Where's our linen? You'd think I'd remember it by now. 50.3. That's 350 already, and that's just the linen and the fur, so we're not even going to bother the rest of it. Large saddlebag, I'm betting it's going to be better to buy. Just based on... So 8 times 19.29. No. We're doing leather last. 3 times 55.4 plus 3. 166.2 times... Oh my god. 166.2 plus 3 times... There we go. Now we got the math working, right? Our linen, which is 50.3, going to give us 317.1. Plus, what do we have on our wool? It's 230. It's going to give us 547.1. So if we take 680 minus 547.1 divided by 8 is going to give us 16.61, which is not as much as the large pouch. So there we have it. Are these still going to be decent? So if we got 1 cherry juice, which is 90, to make... Okay, so it's definitely good to turn it into wine at the very least. But here we have 20 cherries and 1 wine bottle. And for wine bottles, we know that clay is a 1-to-1. So there's a cost there. Now what are cherries worth? Cherries are worth 2 apiece. They're actually worth more than they used to be. Okay, by a lot. Okay, so that gives us a very different look at this. So with cherries being worth 2 apiece, that's actually 40. And then a wine bottle, how much comes into the wine bottle? That's workshop 2, right? No, it's workshop 3. So 6 coins off of that. I know this isn't a 1-to-1, but we'll say 6 coins because we can get 1-to-1 for clay. So that's 6 and 40 is 46, and the goop itself is worth 90. So that's essentially doubling our cost there. So the cherry wine, cherry juice, and then it's a 1-to-1 for cherry juice into cherry wine. Nothing else required. So we're basically taking, what did I say, 46 coins and turning it into 170. So there's absolutely no reason not to make cherry wine. And I believe that's the end of the saleables. We got all the way down to the tavern. Did we clear everything over here? So they added some trellises. That's cool. That's not really helpful for what we're doing right now, but that will be for decorating our village. Because I don't think you can sell these. Oh. Now, the potions we could go into, but generally speaking, potions are best used for usage because they are not worth very much at all. So, I mean, you're already out, what, 3 coins right there? Yeah, it's going to be better to make the ones that you're using and not try to sell them. But, yeah. So that's what we have. We have all of our math done out now. So we know that for the early tier, you want to use your sticks to make small wicker baskets. If you have access to the workshop, well, you're not really going to be using sticks for anything else until then, other than knives. So sticks are going to go for your small wicker basket when you have the workshop, and then they will go for the medium wicker basket once we have the workshop tier 2. Yep. And then workshop tier 3, I don't know why the large wicker basket didn't work out. 7 divided by 12. But it doesn't. So yeah, ignore the third one. Not worth it. So sticks, early game, small wicker basket, medium game, wicker basket, and that's pretty much going to carry you to end game for sticks. Stones, the only thing that you're going to make that isn't permanent, i.e. buildings, is going to be stone knives. That's going to be the best use for them, and they are only worth 1 coin apiece. So they are not a super good source of early game income. Your logs, you're going to get the most use out of them once you have a log cutter up, making buckets and wood vials in the early game. In the late game, you're going to get best use out of them by half a coin more by making wooden wheels and selling those. But I don't recommend selling those until you have the market to actually sell them, because they are very heavy and you're going to have a hell of a time getting them to town versus what you would be able to make off the buckets. But as far as money per resource goes, the wooden wheels are slightly better. Clay, the bowl, the jug, the mug, and the vase are all a 1-to-1 for clay. So I wouldn't go out of your way to get clay. I would only get clay for crafting things. Selling things is, I mean, at that point, you're looking at the same price as stones. It's really not worth the effort. Bronze is going to be 199.4 if you make bronze knives. That's the best use that we found for bronze. Copper is 144 coins per copper if you make copper sickle. Leather, in the early game, you're going to want to make simple bags. And then once you get to the sewing hut here, you're going to want to make small pouches. So simple bags give you 12 coins per leather. Small pouches give you 14.85 coins per leather. Then you're basically following the sewing huts and the pouches. The regular pouch and the next tier in tier 2 sewing hut is 15.7 per leather, and the pouch in the last tier 3 sewing hut is 19.29 per leather. So you're going to make simple bags and then pouches. Literally. As far as our fur goes, in the early season, if you make fur shoes, once you get your first Sewing hut up. Your fur shoes are going to be your best use of fur, and they are going to net you... I lost it. There it is, 6.12 per fur. In the mid-game, you're going to want to make fur hoods, which, well, actually, it's going to be more towards the late game. But in your sewing hut 2, you're going to make fur hoods, which is going to require wool. But that's going to give you 7.5 fur, or per fur. So that's making them a little bit more worth it. Now, once you get the sewing hut tier 3 down here, that's where it's really going to open up. So the sewing hut tier 3, if you make the long fur hood, fur is going to be worth 50 coins per fur. So fur is actually worth it in the late game now, whereas prior to the update, it was never worth it. Linen, which we get from flax. Your early tier craft, you need the tier 1 sewing hut just to turn linen into linen thread, but your best craft for linen is actually the bag, which gives you a value of 50.3 coin per linen. Your best use of wool is going to be at the tier 2 hood shop, or sewing hut. Hood shop. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I've been talking too long. So your hood here is going to give you 205 coins per wool. And the fur hood, so basically you're going to make this until you run out of fur and then make this. Because the fur, this is going to give you added benefit with the fur. But this guy is where you're at for wool base, and that's going to be the 205. Now, once you get to the tier 3, it's again similar, where you're going to make these for the most, to get the most out of your fur. That's where you're getting 50 for your fur. But once you run out of fur, to use the rest of your wool up, long hoods are going to be the way to go. So long hoods are going to give you 230 per wool. And that's going to be the best for your wool. Looking at straw, the best use for straw that we could see was actually the simple torch, and I may have just lied to you. Let's double check, because I don't think I ever actually checked the straw hats. So let's see, our linen is 50.3, so 30. So if we take 60 minus 50.3 divided by 30, that's 0.32, and we had a value of 0.67, so no. What about straw hats? So if we take 50 minus... no. So yeah, no, your best use for your straw is definitely going to be making simple torches out of it. Unfortunately, that's the best we got for your straw. Feather is going to be wooden bolts. Wooden bolts are going to be your best use of feathers. You're going to get 2.4 coins per, and you do need the hunting shack to make those. Basically, sell them as they are until you get the hunting shack, and then just make wooden bolts out of them. Tin, your best use of tin is to make bronze. Unfortunately, that's the same as pre-patch. There's not really anything that tin's worth making. The backpacks and things that require it, the other materials are going to be better used elsewhere. So tin is best used for bronze. Iron, the new iron centerpiece is the iron spike cudgel at 164 coins per iron. So it looks like bronze is actually going to be more profitable than iron at 199.4 coins per bronze knife than 164 in iron. So you're going to want iron tools to use, but you're going to want bronze for money, guys. I don't know why they designed it that way, but that's where we're at. Now, I will post a version of this without the math for reference if you need it, or just so you don't want to deal with it anymore, as a separate video. And I am also going to post the end results here in the description so that you can refer back to that if you need to. But I do ask that if you guys learned anything useful today, or if you had a good time, please don't be afraid to drop a like. If you're feeling friendly, maybe go ahead and subscribe. But either way, have a fantastic rest of your day.